Hey there, welcome. Welcome to Rise and Receive. This is an opportunity in your day to stop whatever you're doing and explore how to receive fulfillment in your life by unlearning struggle. So today we're going to talk about tip number 6 in the top 10 tips series on inviting fulfilling relationships. And today's tip is be awkward. So, if you're curious what that means, or if you tend to think of yourself as somebody who's awkward and try to avoid being awkward at all costs in your relationships, then you're definitely going to want to stick around because today you're going to get a whole unpacking on awkwardness and how being awkward relates to inviting fulfilling relationships. So think about a relationship where you either feel awkward or are afraid of being awkward or feel like you shouldn't be awkward and just keep that in your awareness because I think you're going to have some fun with today. If you don't know me, my name is Sonia Miller. I'm a speaker, coach, and best-selling author, and I mentor ambitious, goal-oriented people to surpass their limits with ease and speed. And the way that I do this is I illuminate the behaviors and the blind spots that are unique to outcome-driven people. Because if there's one thing that I've learned after 20 plus years of coaching is that ambitious, goal-oriented people tend to be really strong in the pursuing skills, and we behave much like the hunter when we're going after goals and dreams in our lives. However, we're not so strong in the being skills, or what I call the receiving skills, which means that we pursue our goals and we recruit all these skills much like the hunter, but when our goals aren't being realized or our dreams aren't coming true, what do? We work even harder because we don't know very well how to stop all the pursuing and tap into this other skill set that's absolutely essential for surpassing your limits, which is how to receive. So if you're able to achieve goals up to a certain point, but you want to go beyond or you're hitting an upper limit, it doesn't matter if it's in relationships or something else, then I suggest that you become curious about how to receive, because once you learn that skill, and it is a skill, it's just unfamiliar to us, then the upper limits dissolve and all kinds of things become possible. So we're talking about being awkward and how that relates to inviting fulfilling relationships. Well, as I mentioned, there's the pursuing skills and there's the receiving skills, also known as the doing skills and the being skills. And one of the things that happens is when we're over-reliant on pursuing and doing in the realm of relationship, and in the realm of anything, as a matter of fact, is we will rely a lot on intention. I intend to do this. I intend to be this. I intend to have this. I intend to get this. Now, intention, like a hunter, is about outward movement. Okay, so I'm here and I intend to get the target. That works up to a point for certain circumstances. But in relationships, if you want it to be easier, and if you want to invite something better than you've ever had, especially when you don't even know what's possible, because with the hunter skills, all we can conceive of, all we can imagine is that which we know in our minds. But if we want to invite more and better with ease and speed, then we have to welcome the unknown. And welcoming is a form of invitation. So we're going to talk about invitation, especially when it comes to interactions and communication, whether you're going on dates with people that you've never met before or they're new, and awkwardness tends to be one of the things that can arise for a lot of people. I'm not going to say all people, but not everyone's an extrovert and not everyone's confident. So sometimes we feel awkward and insecure and nervous and awkward, right? Also, when you are trying to have a conversation that's important to you and you're still developing a relationship, either romantic or it's professional, and you need to take a risk or you need to be heard about something and you're not feeling confident and you're feeling kind of awkward or vulnerable. Again, it doesn't matter what area of life, whether it's platonic, professional, romantic, there is a way of being inviting, and awkwardness plays a role in that. So I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. So I talked about how the hunter is in doing or pursuing mode. The receiver, or the symbol of that being the majestic tree, who receives all day long and life provides and doesn't examine, intend, or analyze or take action upon anything, but is just this embodiment of receiving. What is universal and necessary to receive and to be an invitation is space. Space is the invitation. The tree claims a space in the earth. Its embodiment is one of receiving. So I like to think of that as it has and is the embodiment of space. Its leaves are an invitation. Its trunk allows life to flow through it, whether it's the minerals from the earth or the water or the atmosphere. Okay, so you need a space in which to receive. And many times you'll hear me talk about the bowl, for example. If you have a bowl and the bowl is full and there's no space, you cannot receive anything new. If the bowl is empty, you can receive something new. If you have a kitchen counter which you've cleaned off and there's all of this space, what happens? It becomes an invitation for more junk. Keys and mail and purses and earbuds and phones. Space is the invitation. If you have a garden and you've cleared out the space with the rocks and the twigs and the cat poop and the weeds and you clear it out, what happens? It invites more of that. The leaves get blown in and the animals come and the weeds grow. So here's another one, the closet. You've cleared out your closet, made a lot of space, gave away stuff, sold stuff. How long does it take before that closet's got more stuff in it? Space is the invitation. So space is inviting. How do you create space in your interactions? How do you create space in your communications? Well, we're going to talk about that. So I've come up with 3 things that you can try on for size to be more inviting, which then the energy, instead of flowing out like the hunter, flows towards you, being an invitation. So let's talk about being awkward. Being awkward is a state of, and in this situation, you're uncomfortable, you're antsy, maybe you feel vulnerable, you're not really sure what to say or how to be, right? Now, most times or many times, what we do with awkwardness in relationships is we try to overcome it. We try to get confident or believe in myself or just, fake it till you make it. And you can do all of those things. But what happens is when you give yourself permission to be awkward, if that's how you feel, and actually own it, right? Then you are entering into whatever it is, a conversation, a date, an exchange, an event, maybe it's a social event, right? And you are in the energy of self-acceptance. You know what? I might be awkward, right? Now, self-acceptance is an incredible spaciousness, right? And because you're not putting on airs, which is kind of like the hunter, it's sort of like a shield, right? I'm going to protect myself or I'm going to guard up, right? That's not open. But if you're in acceptance, you're open. This is me. I'm awkward. Oh, well, something's going to happen, right? So this is a state of being. And it's your energy in any sort of a relationship dynamic that is open, inviting, and receptive. So I invite you to try that on for size. I know when I practiced this once, it was a big aha because I was supposed to be having these conversations. This was many years ago, and it wasn't romantic, but it was something that I was doing for a volunteer organization. And I just felt so awkward and so uncomfortable. And I kept trying to do it like the other people did, and copy them or mimic them. And I just felt it was ridiculous. And one day I said, you know what? I'm going to talk about this thing that I need to talk about. And I'm just going to be awkward. And as soon as I allowed myself to be awkward, A, it became so much easier. And B, I had a lot more success with those conversations. I didn't realize how just being myself and having permission to be awkward would help me so much. What an invitation it was. And guess what? It was an invitation for the other person to be comfortable in their own skin, because it's this unconscious thing that we connect and read with. If you are safe being you, it makes it safe for the other person to be them. And that invites more fulfilling conversations. So number 1 is be awkward. Number 2, play with engaging their receptivity to you with permission, using permission. So let's say somebody's talking to you, right? And they're talking about themselves, or maybe they have questions, or maybe they have problems or challenges, right? And maybe in your mind, you've got this advice, or you've got opinions, or you've got ideas. We do this a lot where somebody's talking and we're not really listening. So we're already thinking about the next thing that we have to say or we want to say. Now, if we are like the hunter, which is forward moving or insertion based, the spear inserted into the animal, right? That person may not be receptive to what you have to say. As a matter of fact, they might not feel heard either. So what you're wanting to do is create spaciousness, receptivity on their part. So permission is a great way to do this. So you're listening, and you have so much good stuff that you want to give them that you know would be helpful to them. Before you insert your opinion or offer this unsolicited advice, you can be the space of listening. And then when there is a space in the conversation, sometimes you can interrupt, but you can still be permission based. You can say something like, well, what would you like from me? Would you like me to listen? Do you want me to suggest some ideas? I've got some ideas. Is that something that you'd be interested in? And because you're asking them before you insert yourself or offer or give or be this way, that permission, that question alone gives them a chance to shift gears from talking and thinking and putting stuff out of them into the space into, oh, maybe they can help me. So that creates receptivity by you asking permission. The third way is you can set the stage for you to feel heard. All right. So sometimes you want to talk to somebody about something that's important to you, or you just want to, you want some airtime, you want some attention, right? And sometimes what happens is if you just start talking, they may not be in a receptive place to hear you. And unless you're, aware of these dynamics, that can hurt your feelings, or you might think that they don't care or they're not listening to you. So if you really want to feel heard, then you can set the stage. And there's a number of I statements that I love using. I found that these work really well. So it depends on, adjust this for the type of relationships dynamics, whether it's dating, platonic, professional, friendship, whatever, but just play with these ideas and see what happens. So one of them is you can say, hey, I learned something with myself. I'd love to share it with you when you have some time. Is now a good time? Anytime you say, hey, I want to share something with you, tell me when it's a good time. Right away, it's going to have them stop. And if it's really not a good time, they will make time for you. And I have found that many times if it's somebody that cares about you, they'll say, oh, okay, yeah, I got time. But just, again, asking for permission and setting the stage by saying, I want to share something with you, that helps them be receptive to you. Another one is if you're feeling vulnerable about something, okay, or nervous or awkward, and it's scary to talk about it. Again, self-acceptance with the awkward, own it, and set the stage with letting that person know how you feel. And even, we talked about the other tip about be brave, what you might need. So if it's really vulnerable, you can say, hey, there's something I want to share with you. It feels kind of vulnerable. I feel kind of awkward. Can I ask you, when it's a good time to talk, let me know. And can I ask you to listen with empathy? Because this is really, I just feel really anxious about talking about it. And by setting the stage, you've let that person know how to hold space for you. Now, of course, this depends on the nature of the relationship. If it's somebody that can be trusted and has the capacity to hold space, of course, it's a nice tip. If it's a brand new relationship, or if you're dating in a dating situation and you're practicing being brave, this way of being brave early and often will help you determine, again, from that tip, how that person, what they're capable of and what this relationship is capable of. Can they listen? Can they hold space for you? How do they react? How do they respond? So all of that is really powerful information, very useful information to gather to find out the next steps for that relationship, what's possible, what's not. And it's a great way to take care of yourself as you're communicating. Best way to set the stage for that other person to be receptive to you. So be awkward. Engage their receptivity with permission, and set the stage to be heard. All of those create space, which is the invitation for more fulfillment in relationship. So I'd be very curious to hear what your experiences are if you practice this. As a way to add to today's topic, I have this card from the Receive Oracle card deck. Receive respect. So if you're wanting to play around with this idea of spaciousness and invitation and bringing yourself honestly from a place of self-acceptance, you can practice this affirmation. I am willing to expand my capacity to receive by respecting more of me. I am willing to expand my capacity to receive by respecting more of me. These are all ways of respecting yourself, of accepting yourself, of creating space for you in the relationship, and doing the same for the other person, respecting the other person. Just some communication tools that can be really, really helpful. Here's the Receive Oracle card deck. This is what it looks like. You can get it on Amazon with 56 receiving principles that can teach you all about how to receive your fulfillment by unlearning struggle. And if you'd like to learn more about relationships or receiving in general, I've got a couple places you can go. I'll include links above and below. First of all, go to the Receive community, visit or join. That's all we do is explore and nurture the skill set of receiving. It's really fun to see what people start receiving when they learn the 3-step receive method. That's facebook.com/groups/receive community. I'll include the link. If you would like me to recommend some resources for you, from free to maybe you want to invest a little bit of time, energy, and money into some learning tools and support, then feel free to reach out to me. No cost. Answer 5 questions. I will send you my gift to you, some recommended next steps. Go to showmenextsteps.com. And please like, please share. It helps me reach the people that I'm here to serve. Click on the subscribe button at YouTube. It does the same thing. I hope you found this useful. I hope you'll spread the word. And remember, you cannot receive what you most want if you don't know how to receive. Have a great day, and I'll see you at the next video. Bye, everyone.